Hey, Shawn G here from Chasing the Truth. You're about to get some of the best of samples of shows I've done over the last 5 years. God bless y'all and enjoy. Oh, wow. So, do you, in the middle of the night while you're trying to sleep, do you get bugged by these spirits?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. I've learned over the years, sometimes I get the spirit of a person that has passed or is just passing that comes to me.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it physically wherever they passed or where they're interned? Is that a factor? The actual closeness
Where
of
they are physically
Yeah.
in the world, you mean? Where they
Yeah.
No, it's
No,
no
just
factor at all. It's like doing a reading. People ask, how can you do a reading on the telephone? You're not with the person. I said, very easy, actually kind of easier. Because when people are with you, they have all these body gestures that they want you to say certain things. That's why I close my eyes when I do readings, or I don't look at them. So it's kind of nice on the phone. So distance does not make any difference at all. If you think about it, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners understand that we're in the different dimensions, in the astral plane. And so if you're speaking to God, you're speaking to Jesus, you're speaking to whatever divine power that you associate yourself with, or an angel, they're in another dimension. So physically, they're not physically with you.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But you're still having a conversation with them, a conversation with God. I think many of us have that daily. So that answers that about you don't have to be physically with a being. So it doesn't matter where it is. I've gotten messages at great distances from people.
Now, have you used your gifts for like law enforcement? Have you done anything with law enforcement with your gifts? I guess.
I'm sorry, with what?
With law enforcement.
Oh, yes, I have. It's not easy working with the police. The police are the police, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
And the way they question you, you begin to feel like, oh my God, they think I did it. Maybe I did. They bring you. I've had them bring me a lineup. Here's 6 people. Could you point the person out? That kind of thing. I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm being tested. But I have worked with police. I'm happy to say that one of the murder cases I worked on, that person is still in prison. I feel good about it because of how he murdered. Murder itself doesn't matter how, but he did really kind of torture this woman over a period of time.
Ooh.
And I'm glad to say he's in prison, and he should be there to the day he dies.
Can you talk a little bit about the work that you did on this particular case? How you came about the information?
Well, the woman had come to me twice for a reading. She was a young single mother, working really hard, becoming a nurse. She worked in a hospital, and I had read for her sister-in-law for a while. That's how this woman came to me. And so her sister-in-law called me one night, late at night. For me, late at night was like 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the phone, and she said, I really need to see you. My sister-in-law didn't come home. She always comes home to her children, always. Young children, a baby and a toddler. And so I said, okay, come over to the house. And she came over, and I drew a picture. I said, this is the man she's with. Turned out that picture was actually what the man looked like. That's what I was picking up psychically. I said, here, take it to the police. If they don't find her within, like I said, a couple of days, I'm afraid that she won't be back with you. Well, that's exactly what happened. So that's how I got involved. So the woman, sister-in-law, took the picture to the police station, and the police are very guarded about working with psychics. And I don't blame them, because there's a lot of strange people out there.
So you ever divulged a piece of information to the police, and they come back at you and say, well, how in the world did you come up with that?
That and more. Yeah, it took a while, because her body was taken to another, what do you call it? It happened here, but they took it up in the state to another location. And so the police were having that little, who does the body belong to thing? Who's going to investigate? So it took a while before the police actually came to me. And the first detective that came to me just wanted to know, well, could you tell me any more about this man. They hadn't found him yet. They hadn't located him. And so I gave him some things. Then he came back with the district attorney, and he says, well, okay, we're going to take you out. We're going to drive around, see what you know. This spirit of this woman had been haunting me. I mean, I could remember the movie Ghosts with Whoopi Goldberg, where everywhere she goes, he's talking to her? I don't know. Well, it was like that. I could open my closet, and there she was. I was dreaming of her at night. It was constant, on and on. And when the police came, I rode around with them. Actually, a sister came with me because I was nervous, sitting in the back of a police car. And I told them the name of a street where he took her, and the house, the address. I named the street the address of another town outside of San Francisco. Even I was surprised. And it was absolutely the house and the everything I described. I said there's an open field. This house was empty at the time. There was somebody doing work on it, and they did find out that the house had been empty, and there was a painter that lived there, and he had this guy over there. They were drinking and getting loaded while the woman was tied up in the truck. And the guy there, the painter, didn't know this. And then I told the police about the different things, like the bolt was gone from the truck and where it was. You know, he had a camper on it. And the guy pulled over. He goes, how do you know the bolt was missing? We'd never even told the family this. You know, later they found that the truck and the bolt was missing. I said, well, she's telling me this stuff. She's telling me all these clues. Where he worked. She actually got down to where he worked and the name of the place and where it was, and they went there, and they arrested him.
So you actually, am I correct that this particular instance, that you actually saved a person's life that was tied up?
No, she died. He killed her.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, he had her. He had her in there. She was still alive in there.
Oh. Okay.
Well, I kind of went back. I gave them all the clues to how it happened. Where did she go? What did she do? You know, he drove around with her. You know, things like everywhere, and gave them a lot of. I confirmed what they knew, and I gave them added information to work on. So two things happened.
That's very interesting.
And they were able to piece it together, and it was not a pleasant experience. It was actually a very unpleasant experience to work with them. I've worked with a few different things, and that was the most, I guess I say, rewarding in the way that they caught him and put him in prison.
Oh.
In my book, I go through different cases that I've worked on with the police. I won't do it again. I won't work with them anymore.
Too traumatic for you, or just too much hassle?
No, it's very draining. It's very psychologically, emotionally draining to have to see people treated that way. You know, to see a murder. It's very draining.
Oh, I'd say so. Do you have issues like with the last few cases that you did? Do these entities that you contact, do they stay around and bug you, or how do you get rid of something? Yeah, okay, no. How do you get rid of something that bugs you?
Well, what I do is, if it is going to be ongoing, and I'm going to have repeated visits where I've already felt like my work is completed with you, Spirit, I will tell them, no, you can't. I don't want you coming around me anymore. I have a pretty good rapport with spirits. You know, I've had things like attachments. I did have an attachment. I've heard about them. I never had one till. So I'm very cautious when I do any spirit work. For one thing, I do always pray before I do spirit work, my prayers, and I set up a protection place, and then I cleanse afterwards, cleanse my energy, and I pray again. So I'm praying and meditating daily, whether I'm speaking with spirits or not. It's just part of my life. Can
you go a little bit through this prayer and protection stuff that you just kind of touched on?
Well, it's up to a person's however they practice. If they practice a certain religion, I do like the Hail Mary. Being brought up Catholic, I have a rosary, so I will use that, and I will also use the sense of divine power and the light, and I'll use God, divine power, all intelligence. Protect me from this. May my work be doing somebody some good. May good things come out of this. May some sort of either the spirit rest, or whoever I'm working with feel that they are complete in knowing what happened to the spirit, whatever's going on. So I think whatever religion you're brought up with, you might want to use some of your prayers there, or just talk. Just talk to God, or Buddha, or Allah, or however you want to say it. I don't want to tell anybody who they should pray to. Sit out in nature. Nature could be where you find that comfort. Mm-hmm. And also I do use like holy water. And go to the church. You could buy holy water at a church, or you could use rose water, and I will sprinkle that around me, or I will use a smudge stick. If I go to a place, I will use a smudge stick, which is kind of Native American tradition of cleansing a space.
Well, I actually have talked and spoke with and befriended a bunch of people that actually do the smudge sticks. Can you explain exactly what the smudge stick does?
Well, the smudge stick of sweetgrass it would just be like people use deodorants in their houses all the time, right? Plug it in. The idea that certain kinds of plants and herbs provoke an aroma. It's kind of like aromatherapy. It provokes you into a different place. Okay, again, I'll bring up something about Catholicism. And they have what's called high mass, and they use frankincense as the incense. And they put it all around. Now, some people don't like it. They choke on it. Since I was a kid, I loved it. And frankincense is considered one of the scents that helps clean the space out, cleanses the space of unseen, whatever's in there unseen, whether it be spirits, just bad feelings. Mm-hmm. So you use a scent to cleanse a space that could be considered something you do not want in that space. I don't think it's too hard to understand because how people use scents. They will light something to make the house appear fresher. So it's the same thing on a psychological base. It's a psychological thing.
So, do you have you went into a place, a person's home, or some other building and cleansed the space?
I have, yeah, especially with when I was doing the paranormal investigations. There was a particular building that I said, okay, I'm not going in here until I protect myself. I said, this place does not have good juju. It does not have good vibrations. There's things that happened here. And whenever I go on an investigation, I don't want to know the location and I don't want to know anything about it until I arrive. Because people color you by what they tell you. They color your psychic energy. And I don't want that. I want to go in clean. And I did cleanse that space, and I cleansed the crew, the film crew, and the producer of the show.
So what is it your role with this film crew? Let me find Walk with a Medium in San Francisco Barbary Coast. Is that the name of the group, or did I just?
Well, it's called San Francisco Haunted Bay because she wanted to stay. Ying Lu is the producer. She wanted to stay just around San Francisco. In that particular area in San Francisco is where a lot of the bay came in and the ships, and all the people off and on the ships were located. So she wanted to do that. She just sets it up, and I pick and choose what I want to do. She says, "Are you busy? Next month at this time?" I'll say, "Let me check my calendar."
Wow. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the call-in lines. And as of right now, if you call 931-994-6917, 931-994-6917, you can talk with my special guest, June Ahern. She's a psychic medium and does a lot of paranormal investigation. So what was your weirdest, most memorable paranormal investigation you've been with this crew from San Francisco?
Actually the one that I really focused on, that I really enjoyed the most, actually was outside of San Francisco in a place called Calistoga. And it's a very historical town. And we went up there, and there was a woman that I met that felt that she had been bilked out of her invention. Well, she actually was, and it was proven. And I liked that the best because she wanted restitution. And she came through really clear. And I didn't know anything about this woman. Then historically, after the research, Ying does the research, and also there was a woman named Kathy that knew a lot of the history. And so they gave me afterwards, oh, you're right about this woman, and I picked her out. It was in a museum. And this museum is actually known to be haunted. So I'm not the first person that went in there and felt and saw all the activity. You know, even people just visiting it will say, oh, I saw this lady walking through. And I felt like I gave that woman what she wanted. She wanted acknowledgement to the public that she was robbed by these group of men out of her invention. And that gave me comfort to know that I was able to bring it to the public eye more for her. You know, so, this was a woman inventor in 1880s. Sorry, 1880s.
So did they capture a lot of video evidence or audio evidence when you say?
They did capture. They did capture evidence there of activity. There's cameras in the different rooms of the museum. You know, security cameras. And when we were all in one place, those security cameras where nobody was kept flashing on, saying there's somebody in there. You know, it was indicating that there's activity in there, and we were like, we're all up here in the front. We're not even back there in those rooms. Nobody's back there in those rooms. So that was interesting.
Have you ever come across a haunted item, something that had something stuck with it that you could take from one spot to the other, or it didn't matter where it was, it always had something stuck with it?
Well, you know, one of the most intense experiences I ever had was in Jamaica, where I walked into a house where there were really low-grade negative entities, really bad. And I'm not equipped for that, especially at that time, you know, and they asked me to come. I was actually brought to Jamaica. You know, I was commissioned. Everything was paid for me to go and teach some classes and talk to people and do some readings. And so, and I write about these experiences in my book because people ask me. And I went there, and I was physically attacked. Now, ever since then, I just flat out tell when I go in someplace, do not touch me, to the spirits. You cannot touch me. And down there, I was physically attacked. I wish I had taken pictures afterwards. This is back in 92 or 3. It was the early 90s. And I just, don't touch me. And I was slapped, and I was... you know, when you wrap up the towel and you slap somebody, it stings, and that's how I felt. And the woman there that they were attacking, she was really sick. And when I left there, I just left. I didn't want to do it. So that was something I had never experienced before. And this is Jamaica in July, and I felt like I walked into a refrigerator. It was so cold in that house.
That cold in the house. So do you normally feel cold when you're around spirits like that or whatever entities?
Yes. And you know, here's an interesting thing, and this was the astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson had said, it's not that the body, you know, when we go there and we go touch, someone had died, they feel cold. He says it's not that they're cold. They're actually room temperature. It's that we're hot. Because we're living. We've got heat in our body. And I thought that was really interesting. So when you do get around spirits, you can feel the back of your hairs, or you can feel that little chill. I mean, it really does happen. And it's because we're living. We have heat. And they're not physically living.
So is it true that, you know, on some of the paranormal investigations that you see on TV or on YouTube or wherever you do come across that media, do batteries drain around these haunted areas?
Oh yeah. Yes, it happens on our investigations. I don't know anything about all the camera stuff. I'm not technical, but I'll hear them say, "Dang it, my battery just completely drained," and I just had, you know, it was fully charged when we walked in there. And within minutes, it completely drains.
Now, does manifestations happen during these drainings of the battery power and stuff?
it will often be when I'll just begin to talk about I'm picking up. I'm picking up. The Haunted Bay also works with another investigator.
Hey, folks, thanks for listening to this best of sample of some of my 5 years in doing this radio show podcast called Chasing the Truth. Please visit imdarkwaters.com, or you can email me at ShawnG@imdarkwaters.com. And my numbers and links are in the description below. God bless y'all, and I'll catch you on the flip side.